Hi everyone, welcome to this term's Key Stage 2 For Sure Book Club event with Collins. If you haven't already, please do make sure to put your school or your class in the chat below and say hello to us. We'd love to know where you're from and your class name. Just so you know, we'll be recording today. I'm Asma. I'm an editor at the publishing house For Sure. That means I have the amazing job of helping authors and illustrators to create their books, just like these behind me. And today we have the amazing Annabelle Sami with us, who created this book, Llama Out Loud. And she'll be, in a moment, going to do a very special story time and tell you how she created these books. And then at the end, it will be your turn to ask questions. So start thinking about them. And if your teacher could please write them in the question and answer box below, Annabelle will answer as many as she can. And now over to Annabelle.
Hello, everyone. Hi, thank you for joining me via the internet today. I'm so happy to be talking to you all, and I hope that you're excited too. So I'm just going to get up my PowerPoint. There we go. So obviously, my name is Annabelle, and I am an author. I've written 2 book series for children. The one I'm going to talk to you today is Llama Out Loud. So there are 3 Llama Out Loud books out at the moment. Some of you might already know about them. Some of you may be llama fans. So these books are about Yasmin, who is the main character. She's a very shy and quiet 10-year-old girl. And in the first book, she makes a wish that she could stand up for herself. And instead of getting a fairy godmother, she gets a talking toy llama called Levi, who is a bit of a pain in the bum. But they end up being able to work together and help each other. And they become guardian llamas together, which means that they help other children who are in need of a bit of assistance. So in the second book, they go on a mission together. And in the third book, which I'm going to be talking to you about today, they are going on holiday to a beautiful place in the seaside. And they are hoping to actually have a bit of a break from their guardian llama duties because they've been working really, really hard. But when they get there, they find out that Yasmin's cousin, Omar, is having a hard time settling into his new home and has been acting out quite a lot. So then they get given a mission to help Omar. So those are my 3 books. And I became an author in 2020, but I've actually been writing for a very long time. This here is an example of a story that I wrote when I was in year 3. Are any of you in year 3 at the moment watching? Well, my teacher from year 3 has kept lots of my work, so she actually sent me this. And this is a story that I wrote about our class hamster, and our class hamster was called Pickle. You can see there's my illustrations of Pickle at the bottom, eating peanut. And in this story, Pickle went time traveling to find a golden peanut. So that was my year 3 creative writing story. And I actually have a whole book of my creative writing homework from year 3 that I look through from time to time and have a good chuckle at. So if any of you are budding authors, keep all of your stories that you're writing now, because when you're older and your books have been published, you'll want to look back at them. So I kept writing all throughout school, all throughout university, and I wrote lots of different things. I wrote poetry, I wrote scripts, I even performed some of them. And then I thought to myself, you know, I loved reading when I was younger, so I'm going to try and write some of the books that I loved reading. So I ended up writing Llama Out Loud, which was my first book that I wrote for children, and it got published. Yay. So that's how I became an author. And that's how we got to Llama on Holiday. the newest llama book. So how about we hear a little bit from the book? So some of you may have read this book already, but some of you may be completely new to the world of Yasmin and Levi, and that's fine. So in this chapter, Yasmin and her best friend Ezra and Levi are heading down to the beach, and they're going to try and help Omar, Yasmin's cousin, come out of his shell and start to have a bit more fun. Okay, so plan of action, Yasmin began, pulling Levi up to the top of her bag so he could hear. Blimey, it's baking hot in there, Levi said, adjusting his shades and peering out. I think to help Omar, we first need to understand what's wrong. How would you describe his attitude at the moment? Angry, moody, irritable, Ezra listed. Annoying, pain in the bum, Levi chimed in. Says you, Yasmin pointed out. Fair point. Levi thought for a moment, bouncing up and down in Yasmin's bag as she walked. He seems sad. Yasmin nodded. He started acting like this when he first moved here, so there must be something about this place that he doesn't like. She looked out at the sparkling sea in the near distance as they approached the seafront. The sky was clear and the sun was shining. Who couldn't like this place? I think we should try and get him to lighten up at the fun fair. Actually have some, fun. There's no way he's going to open up to us at the moment. Maybe once he's enjoying himself, he might start to talk to us more. I'm calling this Mission Fun in Sun Fair. They'd reached the seaside now, and the family group was waiting for them up ahead. There was a paved promenade all along the edge of the sandy beach, lined with deck chairs and brightly coloured beach houses. To the right of them in the near distance was a large pier that stretched out into the sea. But the thing that really got Yasmin's holiday brain excited was the fun fair, stretched out in front of them, right on the beach. There were little stalls set up on the sand with various games and fast food stands dotted around. A big red and white helter-skelter towered above them on the left, and there was not one, but 3 roller coasters. Yeah, the plan sounds great, Yasmin, Ezra mumbled, looking up at the largest roller coaster in awe. I need a large candy floss and to go on the bumper cars immediately. Levi clapped his front feet together. Yasmin collected her thoughts. Okay, focus everyone. We're on a mission, remember? Luckily, the mission is to have fun, specifically to get Omar to have fun. She looked over at her younger cousin, who was standing sullenly between his mum and dad with a face like thunder. This might be harder than she thought. So that's Yasmin and Ezra and Levi plotting to help Omar have a bit more fun. So when I was creating this book, I thought back to all of my summer holidays that I had down at my nanny's house in Weymouth, where we used to go to a fun fair on the beach. And that's what I used to create the story. So now you are all going to help me create our very own summer holiday adventure. So teachers, I will need you to write in the chat for this activity. Oops. Because I'm going to give you some options and then you're going to tell me which option you want to choose. And at the end, we will have created our very own summer holiday adventure, okay? So firstly, we need to choose a holiday companion, okay? Who are you going to go on holiday with? So this is Yasmin's brothers. They obviously enjoy having fun together. So A, are you going to choose your grandma? B, pet dog? C, best friend? Or D, head teacher? Okay, so you have 10 seconds now to put your answers in the chat. Which do you want to choose? A, B, C, or D as your holiday companion? Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, okay. B it is. So pet dog is who you're going to go on holiday with. That was close though. That was almost a tie. So Next, you need to choose, oh, if it comes out, the name. So I need to know the name of your holiday companion. Are we going to go for E, Babs, F, Sir Wolfsalot, G, Theodore, or H, Mrs. Periwinkle? Make your choices now. E, F, G, or H. You've got 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's have a look. Oh my gosh. So we've got, oh, G, F, G. So many people want Theodore, F. We've got 1 for H, 2 for F. We've got 2 for F and we've got 2 for G. Let's go for F since we're going with our pet dog, Sir Wolfsalot. Okay, brilliant. We're going on holiday with Sir Wolfsalot. That makes sense. I'd also go on holiday with my dog. Now, obviously, you need to choose a destination. So as you can see in the illustration, Yasmin and Ezra are at the seaside, but where are you going to go? Are you going to go to A, the sunny seaside, B, a tropical island, C, a mountain range, or D, a blue lagoon? Make your choices now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we've got 1 for D, 2 for B, 3 for B, 4 for B. Wow, okay, tropical island it is. That was unanimous. A tropical island with Sir Wolfsalot, brilliant. Okay, so we've got our destination. What about the weather? What's the weather like on your tropical island? Is it A, roasting, B, tipping it down, C, snowing, or D, breezy? Make your choices now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we've got 1 for C, 3 for A, 2 for D. Okay, A, roasting. It is roasting on this tropical island. Brilliant. Next, choose a holiday activity. So what are you going to do when you're on holiday? Very important. A, jet skiing, B, hiking, C, scuba diving, or D, mountain biking. Make your decisions now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, okay, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everyone chose scuba diving. Amazing. Well, I'm glad that we can all agree on scuba diving. Now choose an emotion. A, furious, B, flabbergasted, C, overjoyed, or D, excited. So which emotion are you going to choose? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we've got C. 2 for C, 2 for D, 3 for C, 4 for C. Okay, I think overjoyed has snagged it there. overjoyed. And finally, choose an adjective. A, fabulous. B, terrifying. C, extraordinary. Or D, rubbish. Make your decisions. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. C again. The C has been a very popular choice. C, extraordinary. Okay. So now, if anyone has ever played Mad Libs, you'll know where this is going, because now we're going to put all of those choices that you just made into our very own holiday diary entry. So, my holiday diary, written by all of you. Dear diary, today my pet dog and I arrived at the tropical island for our summer holiday. Yay! When we got there, I couldn't believe it. It was roasting. We decided that was the perfect weather to go scuba diving. So we grabbed our bags and left the hotel. When Sir Wolfsalot, my pet dog, saw what I had planned for our first day, they were overjoyed. I am absolutely not going scuba diving, they said, even though they were overjoyed. But I convinced them to come along, and in the end, they thought scuba diving was extraordinary. That's all for today, but I can't wait until tomorrow. Bye. So well done, everyone. Just by choosing those words, you have written your very own summer holiday adventure. Give yourselves a round of applause. Wonderful. So I have had a brilliant time making this holiday adventure with you. In fact, I'd love to go on this holiday myself. I'd love to go scuba diving with Sir Wolfsalot. I'm sure you all would as well. And I actually have a very exciting announcement for you now. So you are all going to be the first people in the whole world to see the cover of the 4th Llama book. That's right, there's going to be a 4th Llama book coming out later this year. And the cover looks like this. And the crowd goes wild. That's right, this is the 4th Llama book. It's called Llama on Ice. And it comes out on the 27th of October. So you can pre-order it now if you like. And in this book, Yasmin has to help her enemy, Tia, have the best Christmas ever, even though Yasmin doesn't celebrate Christmas. And there is an ice skating show. There is last minute Christmas shopping. There is a snowball fight. So I'm very excited for everyone to read the 4th and last Llama book, which comes out in October. And I'm excited that you all got to be the first audience for it. So thank you very much. You've been a brilliant audience, I assume. I hope you've all been well behaved. And I think we have time now to do the questions and answers. So you can all write your questions in the Q&A box now.
Yes. Thank you very much, Annabelle. That was such a fun and interesting activity. I also really liked seeing your story about Pickle and his hunt for the golden peanut. And it was nice getting a sneak peek of Llama on Ice. It's very icy cover. So, as Annabelle said, it's time for questions and answers from all you listeners. Teachers, could you please write your any questions you have in the Q&A box below? Give you a few minutes. And it sounds like lots of people are excited about Llama on Ice too. So that's very cool. While we're waiting for the questions to come in, I can get us started with a question for you, Annabelle. What was your favorite holiday destination ever? Or your favorite holiday?
My favorite holiday was I went to Japan, and
Oh,
it was very, very exciting because I love Japan and I love Japanese food.
mhm.
So I had a brilliant time, and it is the furthest place I've ever gone on a plane, but it was well worth it. It was really exciting, and I'd go again, definitely.
I've always wanted to go to Japan. Oh, we've
Yes.
got some questions coming in from Victoria. Oh, I'm not sure which school Victoria is at, but which is your favorite book of the ones that you've written?
My favorite book of the ones that I've written, I don't say favorite because they're all my favorites, but the
Okay.
one that's very special to me is Llama Out Loud, because that was the first book that I ever wrote for children,
Oh,
and it won a prize. So I was very excited about that, the Spark Book Award.
that
Yeah.
question was from Roxton School Kids class. And
Mhm.
then Emma from the Falcons would like to know if llamas are your favorite animal.
No, they're not. And people do
Oh,
often assume that llamas are my favorite animal because I've written 4 books about them. But they're not my favorite animal. I just think that they are a very funny animal, and I think they've got lots of personality. Every llama I've ever met has been unique, so that's why I chose to write about them.
yes, they do have lots of personality. And Harrison from the Falcons would like to know who inspired you to write. It's also a question from Kite's class. What inspired you to become a writer?
Brilliant question, Kites class. So I think probably my mum, because my mum loves writing as well, and my mum loves reading. So she was the one who encouraged me to read a lot. And we would go to bookshops together, and we would all split up, me, my mum, and my sister, go down different aisle and stay there for hours reading the first few pages of loads of books and then choosing which one we wanted to buy. So that was very inspirational to me. Yeah.
Okay, and then I think we've got a couple questions in the chat from is it West Victoria? And um yes, I think it's from West Victoria. Hang on, let me quickly scroll down. Right, so how old were you when you wrote your first book?
When I wrote my first book, I was 24, I think.
Okay.
Yes, yes,
Um,
20.
and then growing up, what books did you enjoy reading?
I loved Michael Morpurgo books. I loved books that were about adventures or books that were set in different countries. I found really exciting because I liked to learn about new places. I loved fantasy books the most, and magical books, and I still love fantasy and magical books now.
So it stayed
Yeah.
the same a little bit.
Yes.
What inspired you to become an author?
I think my mum probably inspired me to become an author because she saw how much I loved writing, and she said,
Okay.
you can, that could be your job. You could be an author if you wanted. And I thought, I
Wow.
don't know how that would happen. Don't know how I'd become one of those. Um, so she was the person who gave me the idea to do it, really. Yeah.
And then you've said Michael Morpurgo, but who is your favorite author? Would it be the same now as an adult?
I have so many children's authors who are writing children's books now that I
Mm.
love. And every time I read a new book that I really enjoy, I think this is my favorite book now. So I've loved reading the Book Wanderer books. I've got some of them here. These ones, the Pages
Oh,
and
yes.
Co.
Very nice covers.
Those are HarperCollins books as well. Um, do I have any of the others here? There's a book called Anamari and the Night Brothers. That's a partial
Yes.
book, which is brilliant, really, really good and very magical. So I would recommend those ones if you like magic. Yeah, they're very good.
We've got another question from Garnet's class. You might have answered this. Growing up, what did you enjoy reading?
Yeah, Michael Virgo books, fantasy, magic, all of
Yes.
those good
Mhm.
ones.
And then did you write short stories when you were younger?
Yes. So I only wrote short stories when I was younger
Okay.
because I think it's quite difficult to sit down and work on a book for a long time when you're little. So I tried writing short stories, and I also would sometimes get bored halfway through and then stop and then start a new idea. So I actually wrote lots of short stories, and I wrote loads of poems. I actually started writing poems before anything else because I really liked poetry. So
Okay.
I wrote the short stories and poems, and then the first real book that I wrote was Llama Out Loud.
This is a question for me now, but how did you find going from writing poetry to writing a full-length book? Is it a bit different?
Well, so when I was writing poems, I mean that's what I started with in terms of creative writing, but then I went on to writing scripts, and I was writing scripts really for a long time, and then I decided to go back to writing books. So it was a bit of an experiment, really. I'd never written a book before. I didn't really know how you were supposed to structure and plan a book, so I just didn't plan it. I just wrote it freehand. And it did take a lot of editing. We had to go back and make sure that everything made sense, and that it flowed well as a story. But then after that, I wrote lots of the Agent Cyber books, which some of you might know. And those ones really helped me learn how to write a book, because with a mystery and detective story, you have to plan it very well.
Yes.
So those ones helped me learn how to write full-length books. So now I can do it.
You're like very professional at it now.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got a few more questions. Sophia from the Falcons would like to know if you're planning on writing any more book series.
Yes, I am. So I'll have a completely new book series coming out next year, which hasn't been announced yet. So you'll have to keep your eyes peeled for that. And as you now know, there's a llama book coming out in October as well. So not too long to wait.
And then Kite's Class, which was the hardest book for you to write and why?
The hardest book for me to write, well, as you all know, during the pandemic, when we were all sitting inside and we were very bored, I was writing lots and lots of books, and I found those all very difficult to write because I had no inspiration. I was just sitting in my bedroom writing books, and I found it really hard to come up with jokes and very hard to come up with ideas. So those ones were very difficult to write because I was stuck inside.
Yeah.
But now it's getting easier to write again because I'm going out and seeing people and getting more ideas.
They are still very, very funny, Annabelle. So it's
Good.
you can't tell when you're reading it.
Yeah.
But we've got a couple more from Kite's Class. Why did you choose a llama as a main character? You did mention a little bit that they're very characterful.
Yes. So I'd been to a city farm and I met a llama. They had one llama there. And nobody was feeding it any of the sort of grass pellets that you get because it was so strange looking, and it had two very big buck teeth. And I felt sorry for it, so I gave it some grass pellets, but I did feel its teeth graze my finger. And it was a very strange sensation. And I thought, these are such odd characters, such strange animals. And I didn't want to choose a cute animal, and I didn't want to choose an animal which lots of books have already been written about. Like there are lots of books about cats and dogs and bears, and those have lots of stories, but there hadn't been a story about a llama yet. No. So that's why I chose the llama.
And then the last question from Kite's Class, do you choose your own illustrator?
I get to help choose the illustrator, but the people at the publishers will go out and sort of choose a selection, and then they'll show me sort of sketches from the illustrators, and then I do get to choose which ones I like. And I really love the illustrations in Llama Out Loud. They're by Alan Fatamaharan, and there were some of the illustrations on the slides, so you saw them. And there's comics as well in these books, comic strips, which are all done by him, which are brilliant. So it's been very exciting and fun working with him.
That's very interesting. And I think this might be the last question. Harrison from the Falcons asks how long it takes to write a book.
Well, Harrison, it could take as long as you wanted, really. If you didn't have a deadline, you could keep working on your book for ages, because you could keep going back and making it even better and even better. In general, I've written all of my books very, very quickly because I've been on very tight deadlines. So it's like if your teacher gave you homework and says, this has to be back by next week. So I've been having to write my books very quickly. So a lot of them I've written in about a month, and then we have longer to edit them and check the spellings and check all the sentences make sense. So the writing I've done quickly, but then get this, once you finish writing the book, you have to wait a year to see it. Being an author, you have to be very patient. So often I'll write the book and then a year later, I'll have it in my hands.
It's taken a long time.
It takes a long time. Yes.
If anyone has any more questions, we've got 5 more minutes. We've got one from James from the Falcons who would like to know, if you were not an author, what would you be?
Sorry, James. So I have another job as well. Lots of authors often have 2 jobs because you don't automatically get rich from being an author, which a lot of children ask me if I'm rich. I'm not yet, unfortunately. But my other job is that I work for a theatre company. So I'm not an actor, but I help make the shows. So if I wasn't writing books, I would be doing that. I would be helping make shows and doing things in the arts.
You might have already answered this, but what is your favorite animal if it isn't a llama?
I don't really have a favorite animal because I just like I like lots of animals for lots of different reasons. I have a cat and I have a dog. My cat's called Mittens. My dog is called Rupert, and I love them both very much for different reasons. So I don't really have a favorite, unfortunately.
No, that's
sorry, everyone.
If there's no more questions, I can give it a couple minutes for any more to come in. But otherwise, thank you so much, Annabelle, for sharing how you created your book and giving us a very fun activity. And thank you to everyone for coming and taking part so brilliantly. It was very fun. Teachers, do look out for news on next year's book club events. We're also going to put a very quick feedback form in the chat. We'd love it if you could take a few minutes to share your thoughts so we can keep improving the book club. And remember, if you'd like to get a copy of Llama on Holiday, you can get 60% off on the Collins website. The code will also be in the chat. And that's everything from us today. Annabelle, do you want to say anything else before we close off and let everyone go back to class?
Thank you, everyone, for listening. And yeah, if anyone wants to write a story about Sir Wolf-Salot on his tropical island adventure, please do. I think that would be a brilliant story. But yeah, thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.